My name is Jordan Speiller. I was born in Romania. I was adopted and came into Florida. Great parents. Was always kind of a rebel by nature, so didn't cooperate too well with team sports, and that's how I got into Taekwondo, and then I got into Jiu-Jitsu, and eventually worked my way up doing wrestling. Been wrestling for a while now. Well, I'm 28. I started wrestling when I was 13 years old, or probably younger than that, probably 10 years old, I want to say. I've accomplished a lot with that. I ended up being a 3-time state champion in Florida. 3A, 2A, and 1A, different divisions. Depending on their size, there's different divisions. Then ended up doing the whole Olympic route. I was at a trip at the Olympic Training Center. They did a program for young youths that want a development program, and they hooked me. I was like, this could be my life.
Nice.
I was traveling, doing this, doing that. So ended up, being sold to the dream. I bought it in, and I was like, okay, let's do it. Sacrificed a lot, and you guys well know. You know how it is. You're in school, and you miss a lot of events. You got to cut weight. So those sacrifices definitely were eye-opening, and I ended up becoming a 2-time U.S. Open champ and world team member. I'm very close to being on the Olympic team. I was technically I was as a backup. I was Olympic alternate. So yeah, what else?
Man, that's a lot of accomplishments that you made.
Yeah,
that's a strong background that you have. For the listeners who doesn't know, can you explain what is Greco wrestling, like the rules?
Yeah. So Greco-Roman wrestling is it's basically if no one's ever wrestled before, they probably just seen it on TV and think it's like WWE stuff. So every time I say I'm a wrestler, they're like, "Oh, so you like hit people with chairs?" I'm like, no, I don't do that. So I just want to let the audience know that's not what wrestling is about. That's not what I do at all. Greco-Roman wrestling is a style. There's 3 different styles: folk style, Greco-Roman, and freestyle. Folk style is the only style that is competitive in the United States. Nobody else in the world, competes in folk style. That's just like our own thing. It's just like the NFL, right?
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you start with that, especially if you're in American culture. But if you're outside of America, you don't even touch that. And that's basically able to grab the legs and anything below the waist you can grab. It's basically all hands on deck, whatever you want to do. Greco-Roman is all upper body. You can't attack the legs at all. You can't use your legs. You can't trip, and you can't grab the legs. You can't hook the legs. You can't push off the legs. The legs are just taboo. You can't go around it, and it entices more throws. If you don't grab the legs, then the only thing you have is the chest area, the head area, and it entices people to do bigger throws.
Nice. So that's kind of like judo, Jeff.
It is, with the exception of hooking of the legs. I just want to touch on something. So if those that are listening, a lot of people, if you're in judo, winning a state championships is not really that big of a deal. But in wrestling, it's a huge deal.
Big difference.
I just wanted to make sure if you're a wrestler, and you're listening to this, you're like, oh yeah, state champ. That means something. U.S. Open champ. That means something big. In judo, U.S. Open, yeah, but state champion. It means you maybe had 2 or 3 people in your division, and you won your 2 matches, and you got your gold medal. So I just want to make it clear for people that aren't familiar with wrestling that when someone is a state champion, or a multi-state champion in this case, it's a big deal.
Big deal.
Yep.
So Gio, the next question is, tell us, when you go for the Olympics, when you shoot for the Olympics and you're competing, you're traveling, you're training, is there any time for you to do anything else other than that, or focus like financially, like after you compete, after you train and all? Like, is there like a life after that?
Well, of course. Yeah, definitely. There's a life while you're doing it too. It depends on the character of the person that's doing the sport. There's a lot of different personalities. There's a lot of different characters out there. It just depends on who you are. Wrestling's so diverse, and like one of the hardest working people I probably have met are college athletes that, especially like, athletes in like Cornell or, big schools where academia is really important. And I'm always when I was going on recruiting trips and I saw what they had to do, I was like, how are you wrestling and staying up all night, cutting and doing, you got to cut weight, but at the same time you have, midterms and final exams, and it's like,
it's not easy. Yeah.
That is really, really tough to do. I was never a studious person myself, but for me, I was the type of the person that's like, okay, it's one or the other. It was very hard for me to be able to do both, especially at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think I could be able to do it because, I wouldn't be, I'm 28. I'm not a 20-year-old kid that just got out of high school going into college. Most kids, what they like to do is, have fun and party and, and pick a easy major and hopefully get passing grades, right? But statistically, a lot of kids that are college students, they drop out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. So it's a good question that, is it one or the other, or is it both? It depends on who you are.
Yeah, because, Ronda Rousey, after she got her bronze medal in the Judo 2008 Beijing Olympics, she was, like, living in her car. She didn't have anything else.
She was a bartender, I think.
She was I don't know.
I think that was, like, the highest she had gotten. After
like,
the bronze medal, she was a
bronze medalist Olympian.
She was essentially living out of her
Yeah.
Find her at a bar.
Like, barely fighting over
Yeah.
to be above the poverty line.
Yeah.
And for someone who's made the Olympics and for sacrifice so much, I mean, the sacrifice, that would be the equivalent of going to like medical school, where you dedicate your life to something.
Yeah.
Except they are making $500,000 a year, and you're living out of your car, or surviving. Or if you're fortunate enough, if you have a sponsor, then that's a little bit of income. But do you think that's something that athletes should think about when they are trying to make an Olympic run? Is what is their life? Should they set themselves up for after, whether they make or if they don't make the Olympics? Is that something they got to think about? And is it something you would, if you were a coach of an athlete doing that, you would almost require them to have a game plan?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's a very in-depth question, and it's things that you don't anticipate while you're going through it. You don't, or even before, you don't anticipate what the struggle is like, or are you going to be rewarded or benefit through all the sacrifice? You don't really know. A lot of Olympic athletes, they don't really care about the money. They do it for the glory.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that's secondary. The money is secondary. Glory is first. If I could win the Olympics and not make any money out of it, I'll still do it because it's like the Olympics, right? You
can
can't
never
buy
say
that.
an Olympian.
Yeah, and there's a lot of doctors. I mean, there's there's doctors everywhere. All the time. You go into a supermarket, there's going to be a lot of doctors.
Yeah.
See how many Olympians there are. Probably not a lot.
That's true.
And Olympians definitely sacrifice probably way more than med school students do. as far as physically and mentally.
Physically, totally. Yeah,
you know,
you're right.
I'm pretty sure they, doctors, I come from a family of doctors. My sister's a doctor. My father was a doctor. My mom's a doctor. My grandpa's a doctor. And so growing up, I saw the work ethic that they had to put in, especially my sister, Sasha. She had a lot of stress and pressure to getting to her goal.
Yep.
And she got to her goal and she accomplished it and she's making really good money. But then there's me that goes to another route, same work ethic, same hard stuff, but the payoff is way different.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But the glory,
I was able to with that get the confidence, and that's why I have like that kind of personality, a very confident personality, because I was able to go through all that hardship and I know the value in myself. Now, am I happy that I'm not making a lot of money that I think I should deserve with the sacrifices? I mean, I don't think it was the same, but at the same time, I didn't have an agent either. Like,
True.
I went to these meetings that they had, and they basically, it was really fast, but it was very subtle too. But when you're, at least for me, when I made my first world team, it became kind of a big deal because now everybody who made the world team is sponsored by Nike,
Mm-hmm.
and so a lot of, what is that?
I think that's the SOS Cube people.
Oh, no kidding. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Cuba, man. My mom's Cuban too.
So is mine.
Oh yeah, that's right. I
Yeah.
think we talked about that.
Yep. It's something that needs to be talked about, but that's for another time.
Yeah.
right now, as we were talking,
Yeah, it's like a big
downstairs,
rally. Yeah, big
there's
rally.
a huge rally with a lot of cars with Cuban flags.
Free Cuba. Yeah. But going back to what you said about Ronda Rousey, like living in her car, and she's like an Olympic athlete. Like there's a lot of other like untold stories about Olympians that are just living in the shadows of their dreams that they had. Some made it really well. Some didn't. Some moved on. Some couldn't. Some haven't. But I think at the end of the day, when you're in there, it's up to you as an athlete to market yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and to find those connections, because winning's never promised, and it's really important to have a backup plan for sure, because a lot of people are they think, oh, I'm going to win the Olympics.
Everyone believes that. Otherwise, why would they do it? Yeah.
Right. But the hard truth is, it's very unlikely.
Only the 1%.
Yeah,
It's
only
very
one guy gets to
unlikely.
be the champion in your division.
And it's weird too with, as far as like referees go and judging. Like, I've been robbed so many times. It's just unbelievable, and sometimes I think it gets political too. And it's very different to think about when you're actually competing, and then you stop and you think about, wow, how many times did I think I won a match and didn't win? I mean, you see in fights too a lot, and you gotta wonder, is it a political reason, or is it just a bad decision? We don't know.
Wow.
We don't know.
Do you think it's important for people to be able to move on? Let's say even if they had a glorious Olympics, let's say they even won first place, and okay, now 20 years later, are you still living in those glory days? Nobody remembers. I mean, they remember,
so.
but you're just a piece of knowledge now to a future generation. Like, oh yeah, I know him. He won first place. Let me watch his judo or his wrestling or something like that.
Yeah.
But if you won it 20 years ago and you're basing your whole life based off of that one moment in your life,
Yeah.
that sounds to me unhealthy. Like, do you think that there should be, after the Olympics, even after you get all that glory, let's say you do win,
Yeah.
What does your life look like after that? You still need that plan.
If you can base off of that one moment, if you can base your whole entire life off of one moment and be lucrative, then yeah, go for it. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm talking more like living in the past. Like you said, living in the shadows now and like, oh, I used to be great.
Yeah.
And then like you just did nothing else with your life.
Right, yeah, no, that's very unhealthy. It's very unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard too, especially if that was all that person knows. And it's like, how do you do anything different? It's like, okay, you're one of the best in the country, one of the best in the world at a certain point in your life, and you didn't go to school. You've never learned any work trades at all, nothing but this one sport, and then say you get injured and it's taken away, and you've done it for years, your whole life,
And that's all you know.
That's all you know. Now you're washing dishes. You're a dishwasher. It's like, how was I on the top of the world, and now I'm like on the bottom.
And as a dishwasher, it's kind of like, cool, okay, scrub this, clean that. You have a
I was a dishwasher. It was like, man, that was eye-opening. And it's hard work, man. They should get paid way more. They should get paid way more. But yeah, I always said to, like, when I was washing those dishes, I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, I was an Olympic athlete. Like, and now, nobody knows. I'm like,
there's no respect.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, and like my self-esteem just like was, I don't know, it got diminished a little bit.
Yeah,
I was like,
what's
going on?
That could change it.
But then at the same time, when I was a dishwasher, it introduced me to how hard life really is. Like, because in the gym, wrestling around, that's like fun and like pleasurable, and you know that was not. It's not a real world. You know, the real world is working class people. 9 to 5, busting their ass, and you got to start somewhere. You got to pay your dues. It's like you don't go into judo first practice and beat everybody. No, you get your ass beat. So I was getting my ass beat in the real world with being a dishwasher. Now, if I would have kept staying there, I would have probably gotten promoted, and then I would have realized, oh man, you know, I had to start somewhere, and you climb that ladder to success. But that's probably what the hardest part, being an athlete. That's all you've ever known. Then go into the real world, you have to start right back down. And then when you're down there, it's hard not to get discouraged. You keep going, and maybe it turns out pretty well. But definitely got to pay your dues, 100%.
Would you be in favor of supporting a program if they're making, in the process of making Olympic athletes, but a program that also guided athletes to this is what you're gonna do, and then here is some other skills.
They have programs like that.
Do they?
Yeah. I've looked them up. I've always, been a big supporter of athletes and after their careers. And I forget what the website is, but really cool organization. And it's like you go on their website and it goes, there's like a big title and says, here's what you're gonna have to do after your Olympic career or something like that. And it explains like almost everything I explained. Like, man, this is getting hard. Like, you got to jump into something new, and you got to start from the bottom. And I'm a big supporter of that. And they don't teach you that. Like, if you're in school, they don't teach you taxes. They don't teach you the real world. Yeah.
They teach you how to run the rat race.
Yeah.
Listen to people. Listen and stay quiet.
Yeah.
Well, that depends, because if you're getting a finance degree, one of the classes you have to take is taxation, but that's college. It's not high school.
Yeah, right. I'm talking about like middle, high school, when you're being developed,
Yeah.
So, Next question. What do you think about kids and adults, mostly kids though, losing weight for wrestling competitions?
That's a good question. Man. Like, I think my opinion has changed since years ago. I am. I'm in discourse here.
It's hard.
It's a dilemma. It's a dilemma because if you don't lose the weight, somebody is going to, and they're going to be bigger than you.
Yeah.
And stronger. And I think if you're a kid, I don't think you need to lose that. Like a kid, like what, high school kid,
Like
middle school kid,
high school wrestling kids,
yeah,
losing weight. Because then
That's
now they have the
tough.
hydration test
That's
too.
tough.
I think if they're a senior, yeah. I mean, freshman, no.
It's
I don't
tough. I mean, I don't think they should lose an unhealthy amount, but I think if they want to make a certain weight class, that they should do it in a healthy way and not try to. Because I was so bad. I would take laxatives every week. I had to lose 20 pounds every single week, and I would always gain it too. Like I'd lose it, then gain it.
Wow.
Lose it, then gain it, and man, I'm surprised I'm still here today.
That's crazy.
I lost so much. Yeah,
Was this in high school?
Yeah, this was high school. My freshman year, I sacrificed myself a lot for the team, and that was the only year I didn't win my state title. I literally blew my match because I didn't want to weigh in the next day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I checked my weight. I was like 13 pounds over, and I had to lose that 13 pounds the next day.
Wow.
I was like, I'm just gonna lose my match and be out of the tournament. So, it cost me a state title.
13 pounds.
I'm glad I didn't have any health issues, but
Yeah.
if it was somebody else, they probably would have had some health issues. But
So the times you didn't have to really lose too much weight, you were winning?
yeah. Well, I was winning either way, but I think for kids, kids don't do it in a good way. I don't really approve too much, but if they can do it in a healthy way, sure. But when you're young, you like to eat bad food, and like it's just a different kind of mind frame. When you're older, you take care of yourself a little bit more. So.
Interesting.
It's a good question though.
It's always that question that parents have.
Yeah.
How much does my kid have to lose weight? Or the kid wants to lose weight because he wants to win.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's 2 pounds or 3 pounds out, that's one thing.
That's one thing.
But if they're like, oh, drop 15 pounds, like, for what?
Yeah, there's so many different body types too.
Like if you have a tall person.
Some people don't lose weight. Some people just don't lose. Some people don't sweat really well, and like, it's just. It comes down to like your anatomy, like, you know, everybody's different, and so.
And plus, in high school, you're still growing.
Yeah.
So when you're losing that much weight, your body needs as much nutrients to grow.
I agree. Yeah. But at the same time, too, it like kind of introduces them into once you're done with high school, if you want to continue, you still got to do this process of losing weight. Or not losing weight. A lot of people sometimes like just go up a weight class, or they get sick and tired of it and they do well. So if you're losing, right, and you're losing weight, that's probably not a good idea. Maybe you try it the other way. And because if you're losing weight and you're losing competition, something's not right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you've competed a lot. You've seen a lot of competitors. In your opinion, I know in the U.S. we have USADA, which tests us with substances, drugs, illegal substances.
I know them very well.
Do you think that other countries are taking steroids or on the juice?
Yes, 100%.
100%?
100%.
I have a follow-up question after you clear your answer.
100%.
Yeah? So, like when they're training and all, like, who's the ones that are taking it?
I don't know specifically who's the one. Like
you just have an idea.
Sometimes I do. Like sometimes they tell me. Sometimes I assume. And I'm sure we all do. So I competed at the Junior World Championships in Thailand, 2012 or something, maybe before that. And I had a hell of a performance, and I beat the Russian dude who's the European champ, who was predicted to win the whole tournament. I had him first round, beat him. Then I beat some other dude, and then I went against I think a guy from Bulgaria or maybe Turkey. I don't know. I think it was from Belarus. And this dude just tossed me around, like beat me so bad, and it was so different from like anybody else I went to. And it's a Junior World Championship. This guy looked like a man. He looked like a man. Anyways, lost to him. He ended up winning the whole entire competition. He ended up being world champ. And then, like 3-4 months later, he tested positive for steroids, and so my ranking in the world went up. He lost his medal.
Wow.
Yeah, it was something else. But this is Junior World Championships. Like I'm still in high school, so I believe in other countries, and I'm not saying that America doesn't do it either. I'm pretty sure some do. That there's steroids being taken, for sure, easily, yeah, and at a young age, yeah, 100%.
So I'm not just talking about steroids here, but I'm talking any test. Have you ever had a positive test on any of these substance tests that you've ever taken?
No, no, I haven't. I'm sure. So it depends, right? There's in competition testing and then out of competition testing.
I'm talking like any type of test, like your employer wants a marijuana test. Like I mean,
yeah.
Like
No, I've never failed any drug
That's
test
good.
ever. No, I'm not a big fan of failing drug tests.
Yeah, you gotta be pretty stupid to fail a drug test, honestly.
Well, I mean, if you're not, it's tough, especially with USADA, because USADA can come in anytime they want. Anytime they want. And say you went out and partied and you took a little puff, right? Boom, like that will show up on the drug test, and it's like, oh man, why did I do that? And now everybody's gonna label you as a drug addict or something, but it's like that's not the case at all. So, but no, I've never failed. I never failed a random one. I never failed a planned one. And if you fail a planned one, you're pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you fail a random one, you're not stupid. You might have just made a mistake.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But USADA is a crazy organization, man. I mean, it's like they are tracking you. You have to fill out your whereabouts. This one wrestler, I'm forgetting his name right now, but he forgot to fill out his whereabouts 3 times. They suspended him for a year, and he was going to probably make the Olympic team, and he just didn't go on the app and fill his whereabouts.
Yeah.
There's an athlete that I won't say his name, but after this is over, I'll tell you guys who it is. Tested positive for he had a prescription, he just didn't upload the prescription. Or no, it was something. He might have been guilty for something else. Anyways, because he went through a whole process. Because I was up at this camp, someplace in the United States. If I say where, you'll know where it is. And he had a close friend of his. You know that his friend didn't compete or anything like that, but he did. And so he was on the circuit, so he had to keep his postings, with USADA, and they showed up, and he was suspicious that at a certain time that they would. So the plan was that they go in and they watch you go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So when they came in, obviously you have to fill out paperwork and stuff like that. You talk, whatever. He kind of played like he made a weird thing where he's just like, I gotta wait, go to the bathroom. Meanwhile, the plan was his friend went to the bathroom and he peed in a cup.
Yeah.
Okay. The thing is that when they weren't looking, his friend had gone, played a little distraction, and he put the cup of piss in his mouth.
Oh, snap.
So then when they followed him into the bathroom, he was facing the urinal, and they're watching from the back, and I guess he was peeing but spitting it into the cup, but he forgot to pull down his pants, so they dinged him. So they knew that he was cheating.
Wow.
The guy watched him, so
That's
it was all.
story.
It was all for nothing.
Man.
But and at
The thing
same
is, all
time,
he had to do was.
Bro, that's gross.
And I'll tell you who it is.
he fucked up
That's
because
huge.
even if you did something like that, if the temperature isn't at the right amount, that
It was fresh, and he kept it in his mouth.
it better stay warm in his mouth.
It was
Because
like
if it doesn't,
think about just holding it for about 2 minutes, and then I don't know. The thing was is that
that's crazy.
he
Story.
forgot to pull down his pants, so the guy just kind of sat there like this,
Wow.
and it's just like as soon as the guy turned around,
You know,
he was
that
like,
must-
"You failed."
They
must
look
have been
at
a
my
lot.
dick though. Like they watch
The way
my
that-
penis. They watch the pee come out of my pee hole.
The way the bathroom was it was just narrow. The stall, it was
Yeah.
only one stall, so it was like a narrow.
So he couldn't like look over the shoulder.
The guy didn't. I mean, I heard the story from afterwards, so I don't
Yeah.
know what the test. The guy felt, well, if my presence will just scare him away.
You know, there's a certain amount that
crazy
you have to
story.
put into the cup. It's
Yeah.
a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's
So
a lot.
to put in your mouth,
Yeah.
you're gonna be like a bubble mouth.
I don't know how he did it. I'll tell you who it is after.
That's a
right?
lot.
And I think
bro.
once I
Yeah.
tell you, you won't be surprised.
Wow.
So-
That's
What
crazy.
a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I
Man.
don't know. How many questions do you have left?
I think I have 2 more.
Stop.
Okay.
He's getting hungry.
So, Gio, just to wrap everything up,
Sure.
is there anything else that you want to say? Any shout out sponsors? Any advice you could give to anyone?
I would just say to all who's listening, that's the most likely judo, wrestling, MMA people. Live the dream. Keep doing it. Be responsible with what you're doing. Be safe. Injuries happen. You're not indestructible. And move forward. Never stay stuck. And whether it's with a technique, whether it's with something personal in your life, you know, we all can feel stuck, but the most important thing is to keep moving forward. Boom.
All right, guys. Well, that's it from our guests, Jordan Speiller and Jeffrey Stout. This is Submission District signing out.
See you later, guys.
See you guys.
Peace out.